Welcome to Imaginary Lands, the works of award-winning author and storyteller Bobby Pell. Today's selection, Just One Wish, Realms of Faerie, is an award-winning collection of original fairy tales with fresh twists in narrative poetry for traditional favorites. Celtic settings, magic, mystery, where true love shines. Dedication. This book is dedicated to Amanda Stubbs Hoback. Your inner beacon of light in my life continues to inspire and encourage me as your spirit now resides in spheres above. The tale Surreptitious. Listen to this excerpt of this Jack and the Beanstalk retelling. The vine extended a slender dark green tendril from its traditional curl around the iron gate, whipping the hunting hound. Its prey had just sought shelter within the vine's protective maze. The startled pup yelped loudly, winced at the sharp pain, then rejoined the pack in search of another quarry for the morning's stalk. No one noticed the slithering tip snaking its way back to the top of the black ornate fence. The next week, Lord Bellingham, owner of his family's estate located on the outskirts of the small village of Hampshire, was making his usual rounds of the grounds when he came to the front entrance. "Good grief, not again," he remarked, as he glared at the overgrown mass of green ivy shrouding his family crest engraved on the ironwork. "Sims, Sims, I say, where the devil are you, man?" A wiry, snivelling man scurried beside the indomitable figure of his master, saying, "Yes, my lordship." Accustomed to taking fastidious notes during these morning inspections, the land secretary curled over his pad at the ready. "Just look at this atrocity. I don't understand why Thomas can't keep this gate area under control, why this ivy is invasive, and it should be uprooted." The master strode back and forth, adding hoofs of disappointment with every stride. "Ah, but sir, begging your pardon," said Sims, his eyes widening. "Surely you remember what the gardener said about this particular ivy?" "What are you going on about, man?" Sims beckoned his master closer. The lord leaned down as Sims whispered in his master's ear. "But, sir, it's one of them vines, sir, and you can't be pulling them up. Why, Thomas practically has to wear a suit of chain mail just to trim it back a bit." Lord Bellingham straightened as he mused a little space. "Ah, I remember now, that gash across the poor man's face when the ivy lashed out at him last month. I had forgotten." The lord scanned the overgrown mass in heaps upon the ground once more, then with aristocratic civility noted, "Well, he knows best on how to care for it. See that he at least clears the family crest." "Yes, sir, I'll be sure to tell him straight away," said Sims, jotting down more scribbles as the pair continued their morning review. The vine rippled with a giggling wave at their departure. The Moon Dancer. Here's an excerpt from this lovely tale. The moon settled against the evening sky like an ivory button on a navy velvet gown. On the earth below, silhouettes merged in blurred spirals. The dancers whirled in delicate swirls, bobbing and weaving as they created a fabric of celebration. Drum beats in deep tones pulsed in rhythmic measure as earth delighted in every footfall, every glorious step. The woman was new to this company of revelers, but she had known others like them. Through her serendipitous travels, she always discovered them in a glade on a moonlit night or in a sacred grove on feast days. She could feel the presence of the shining ones, often visible during these frolics, but who through choice normally remained unseen. She joined the throng. Her arms swayed in graceful movements overhead as her fingertips outlined silver arcs aglow with moonlight splashes. The veil of darkness melted into dawn, and it was over till the next full moon. Camilla was ready to settle down and choose the charming country village of La Lumiere to set up her dressmaking business. All goes well, especially with the patronage of the 3 wealthy treacherous sisters, until they discover her moonlight escapades. Disdain, suspicions, and prejudice win their favors. Discover how the magic of those moonlit rituals evoke unexpected events for Camilla, the sisters, and the entire village. Ilani of the Silver Hand. In Tennyson's famous poem, The Lady of Shalat, a cursed fairy remains on an island, weaving tapestries of the villagers traveling along the road downstream to the famous seat of Camelot. She views them only through her magic mirror, unable to directly view the world. The curse. But once the curse takes hold of her, listen to her fateful demise. Ilani stepped carefully around the late-blooming flowers towards the river, where she found a boat chained to a mooring. Along its prow was a single word, Shalat. Believing this to be the name of the small space of land she had called home, she decided to amend it. She spied a sharp rock along the bank and carved the Lady of in front of Shalat. The farmers would not know her name, but they could acknowledge their fairy neighbor. Draping the tapestry over the wooden ribs and loosening the chain, she sidled into the boat, heading down the river's dusky expanse. She sat upright as her white nightgown billowed about her. Ilani stared straight ahead with glassy eyes, like some bold seer whose own mischance was now clearly seen. With no specific intention, yet led by intuition, she began to sing. Carols, sometimes loud, sometimes low, could be heard as the boat floated downstream past farms and fields and willowy hills. A death chill slowly crept up Ilani's spine like tendrils of frost. Her skin grayed in response, while her songs, breathy and slow, whispered their final notes in the fog. Strength drained from her stoic stance as she slumped backward, her eyes gazing upward into a color-filled twilight sky. Vivid pinks and oranges blended seamlessly with purples and lavenders, while the first stars of the evening glimmered. Her punishment, life within this mortal realm, was finally at an end. The boat, like a ghostly barge with a dead pale passenger, continued downstream to the town, passing houses by the waterside until it reached the castle, where a feast was being held. Shouts and cries could be heard along the banks. "Look, it's the fairy Lady of Shalat," said one, reading her name upon the prow. The ladies and their lords, magistrates and knights, all crossed themselves as the corpse passed by them. The royal cheer halted abruptly as the entire entourage peered over wall and balcony. But when Lancelot gazed upon this dolorous sight, he sighed. "Her face still shines in beauty," he said. Then he added thoughtfully, as if in prayer, "May God be merciful and extend his grace to this woman, this Lady of Shalat." As the onlookers retreated, Ilani's body melted into the tapestry like an early snow on the warm autumn ground. But what event caused the fairy council to banish Ilani from their world? Read my answer in the beginning of this tale of enchantments, love forsaken, and deep magic.